Hello, hello. We are back to finish off the paint and play, paint to play portion of the Mistwind Deluxification. I am going to show you how we take. This is what. So I finished yesterday doing the. This is what they look like right now after it's pretty much dry. It's not super duper dry. It usually takes like 3 or 4 days for the oil wash to dry all the way. But that it gets even harder and you have to use even more elbow grease and shoe polish to get them off. But I'll show you how we go from this to this. The oranges I finished. I left some other ones, and I meant to keep some that are. I meant to not do some and show you before and after, but yeah, I didn't because I had to get them all done so they would dry in time for tomorrow night, which was my goal. So I'm going to do one of each color of the whales. I'll do one of the little stands for the whales as I've got the other ones done. And I'll do one of each color of the little town. I'll show you what they all look like. So that's 9 pieces. And basically I'm just going to do this in the batch style. So the first thing, like I said, I go through in yesterday's video. And I cover them all in the homemade wash. Let them dry. And then I will grab my conditioning oil, which is, this is just like regular old like clear shoe polish, and I just get an old yucky brush like this and I kind of get it filled up, and then I brush it on. You just want to kind of get it all over the place. This does a couple of things. It makes the excess really easy to remove from the flat surfaces, the raised surfaces. And then it also, you can kind of paint the slurry that the polish makes with the dried oil wash. You can kind of paint it into any grooves that you might have missed, and sometimes you can kind of go right over. So even the ones that don't have huge grooves, you can still, if you're careful, you can kind of get it, and get the wash over like any of the raised edges, which is nice. So the first thing I'll do is just load these up with the polish, get it everywhere, and I'm wearing the gloves because it's a messy business, this. So it'll just make cleanup that much easier. And you really want to get it pretty much everywhere. Work it into the nooks and crannies, into the grooves, any place that you may have missed. There you go. I'm taking a little extra time with each of these, but it really isn't. There's just, once again, this process is skill independent. You do not need to have any kind of skill whatsoever to do this. You slop it on the oil. You slop on the polish. And then you wipe it off. And it's so forgiving. Working with oil paint is so ridiculously forgiving. And if you ever feel like, you end up, maybe you take too much of the oil off, or you accidentally get into the crevices, the little nooks and crannies, and you take that out, well, okay, just reapply it. No big deal. No problems. There are no mistakes here. You can do what you want. And then, so I like to wipe the excess off as I go and have just a little wash. It's like a little washable paper towel I get at Costco. They call them paper towel. I don't think they call them that, but they're basically paper towel replacements. You can wash them a handful of times and then throw them out. That last longer than just regular old paper towels. So yeah, this is skill independent. Can you get better as you go? Sure. Can you get faster? Yeah, absolutely. I keep getting faster, and I've learned to do all of the steps in one thing instead of doing, I don't know why, I was doing like one at a time, probably just to, it helps with the dopamine hits. It's that novelty, especially when you go to the reveal step here in a second. You'll see how it's satisfying to me anyway. Once you start removing all of the wash, the black ink off, it's a cool little reveal. It's a nice little dopamine hit. But now I'm really trying to get more of these done. I've got a backlog of probably a couple hundred games that I'd like to deluxify and do the total hobby system on to get into the game group's library. I'm trying to, now when I get a new one, I'm trying to just do it, and then when I have time, try to go back and visit the older ones. But it's a lot to try to do all at once. Also trying to get this channel up and going to make communication easier with the group, and to show anybody else who's not in our group maybe how we do some of our things in our group, because we have an awesome group, and I'd like to see more of them kind of sprout up across the state, the country, the world, I don't know, the universe. Hello out there, universe. Because I think it's a fantastic thing we're building, and I'm proud of it, and I think it's a good thing. I think it's something that could easily be repeatable in other places, and I think it's a good thing to get the videos going. So I will finish my story from yesterday as well. I was playing. Well, we bought this game, and then I went to the open play area, I think was where we left off. And then my family, everybody had events or things that they wanted to do. I think my wife was looking for pens, and I'm not sure what everybody else was doing, and everyone else in the game group everybody was spread to the winds. And I was just sitting there by myself. I was like, you know what? I'm going to get Mistwind out. That was me tapping the box. I'm going to get Mistwind out, and I'm just going to kind of set it up and see if I can. Sometimes just setting it up kind of makes me feel like I have a better understanding of how to play it. So when we learn to play it, I'd at least have that in my back pocket. I set it up, and then somebody comes up and they start talking to me, and I don't know him from Adam. He's like, "Are you going to play?" I was like, "Well, I'm waiting for my wife right now. I'm just kind of setting it up, but if she comes back, maybe we can try to stumble our way through a 3-player game." And he sits down and we start talking, and tells me he's from LA, and I was like, "What? What are you? What? I mean, I love Origins, but I live 10 minutes away. Why? What brings you here from LA?" He was like, "Well, long story short, he is a designer, or was a designer. He works in the video game industry now at an incredibly popular and visible video game publishing house. I don't know what they're called. Studio. Video game studio, I guess, right? So I'm not going to give out all his information, anything, but a game that he designed back in the early 2000s, his first game was going into the Origins Hall of Fame, and that's what he was there for. And he was like, "Well, I've got this on Kickstarter coming. I was like, oh, sorry, I got one before you did. I kind of felt bad, but he's like, no, I'd love to just sit here and kind of look at it and maybe learn to play if we can. And had a really good talk with him. Really interesting man, like super interesting life he's lived. I think that's my opinion. He was incredibly kind. My wife got back. We started learning. I just handed him the rule book because he was figuring it out, and then we kind of played the half the game. He had to go. He had the Hall of Fame induction ceremony was that night, so we had to cut it short. But we at least learned to play the game, and it was very cool. I have designed some games. I don't know if I'll ever publish or take it further. My focus really now is on my group, and trying to get the hobby out to as many people as I can, and try to bust down the main barriers that I believe or keep people from enjoying this hobby or learning it or even hearing about it, yada yada. I'm going to do that now, and when I get my life in order, maybe we'll revisit the designs again down the line. So that was my story. It was good. It was very cool. I found because it's not to tell business, but we first figuring out how to win. Loving this game, and I thought, that we do that. I'm gonna grab one of the little next spot. Just kind of go gently on the exit. You down hard, because then you'll get into these grooves, and then we want to wash. Stand there. Leave it there. That's what makes real. So you can also kind of take the brush, a small kind of pull out the like real nitty gritties there, the little places that are hard for this thing to read, and wipe the. That's our. And that's it. That's the line short. You just go. And if you like these cheap off Amazon, and put in the real hard. It's about that polish, kind of thingy or Q-tip, kind of creates very harder to accidentally pull all that stuff out of there. You can kind of use this to get in those hard to reach places, but then this is way better, especially on large areas. And the glossy, but that for a moment.